Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. And today we have with us Joy Dooling from The Joy of Membership. Welcome to the program, Joy.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
You're welcome. And obviously, the membership aspect, we're talking about memberships, and then I really like the joy of, because I would suspect that we could talk for about 4.5 hours on all of the trials and tribulations of memberships. So I like that you focus on the joy of, because once you get the hard part down, then it gets to the fun stuff, right?
Well, I believe there's nothing more rewarding than pulling your audience together, people who share goals and your same passions. So to me, it is a joyful experience. Yeah,
exactly. And it kind of gets down to, in some ways, like the craze of crowdfunding or crowdsourcing. So when you have a bunch of like-minded people together, it can act like a mastermind. It can act like a think tank in some ways as well, I would suspect.
Well, memberships come in all shapes and sizes. Mm-hmm. So, as a creator of a membership, you kind of get to decide what makes sense for your audience, what they're looking for, and then you design the membership experience around that.
So what type of memberships are you typically seeing your clients work with?
Well, it runs a full range. I have associations who have been clients for years, professional trade groups. There are entrepreneurs who are running online communities. There are experts and speakers who are running course-style memberships around what they teach. So lots of variety.
I would suspect that there's a lot of people that might not have considered a membership for their business. So what would be the first thing that someone would think in their mind that might trigger them to say, that could fit my business model?
Well, obviously what attracts a lot of people to the concept of membership is recurring revenue. Especially for service professionals, they get to a point in their business where, they start to run out of capacity. So, a membership, a model where you can serve one to many, opens up new possibilities for you to create revenue where you didn't have room before. The other thing that people sometimes consider is, an extension of relationship, kind of going from just serving people once to having more of an ongoing relationship with them. So I think those are probably the two big things that bring people to the model.
Yeah, I can see that as well. And also, have you found, and I would suspect this is the case, just my outside opinion, but it could actually be like an opening of a relationship where maybe they're not ready for a larger package with you, but they go with your membership package, learn from you, get to know you, develop that rapport and relationship, and then maybe at that point they're ready to go to the next step because they've gotten a feel for your culture and what you provide.
Oh, absolutely. I always say that, the best place to offer membership to your customers is on the backside of a successful experience with you. So they're looking for the next step, and membership is what they walk into. But I will tell you that membership can be offered at either a lower price point or a higher price point, depending on where you want to position it. Because you may have some people who, they offer a service that isn't a high ticket item, and a membership for them can be a way of generating more money at a higher price point. Or it can be someone who doesn't offer something at a lower affordable rate, and membership allows them to do that, like what you're describing.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty is it really is a versatile tool because, like what you're mentioning about the high end, you could have some people that you might call it a membership, but they might call it a mastermind, and it might be all the bells and whistles of a membership, but it might be $3,000 a month, and you are going deep in small groups. So it really does get down to what you're looking to deliver to your group.
Exactly. Well, I say there are, three key things that you need in any membership. You need something people want to learn. You need something people want to talk about. And you need something people want to believe. And those three things can come in many shapes and sizes and fashions. But if you have those three things in it, you probably have a good platform for a membership.
Yeah, awesome. So let's think about something given the day and age we live in with everything virtual, technology, digital. I'm sure that at some point people would think of a membership like the traditional local meetup type in person, but over the years that has changed to where I'm sure you've seen total virtual or maybe a hybrid of the two, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there are so many different software platforms out there. At one time, I created a list. I just kept adding to this list whenever I would run across, software products that said, it helped membership. I made a note of it. And my list is over 200.
Wow.
So there are a ton of options.
But yet, do you find that the experience that people are wanting to deliver to their members has changed over the years where sometimes, like for me personally, I don't go to many in-person group like networking or chamber groups or meetups, but I enjoy digital online forums and groups, right? So have you seen that change in what your clients are offering as their membership groups?
Well, it really varies depending on the industry. I mean, I have some clients who still offer membership as a mostly face-to-face offline experience. I have one client in particular who doesn't even have a membership website. I mean, all of their services are delivered by recurring invoice and, offline delivering the services. So we see a lot of online memberships, but I think it's because people like you and I, we are online a lot. Yeah. So we tend to notice that and perhaps don't notice as much the ones that are, still very much operating offline.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, it's what you're kind of used to, your go-to. My wife for years, up until just a couple years ago, used to still use a written calendar, like one of those daytimer kind of deals. And it's like when you can go digital, that opens up a lot of doors. Do you find some of your clients use a membership as their sole business model, or is it an add-on to what they currently are doing?
Many of them use it as their sole business model. I am a big believer in having diversification in your revenue lines, but especially with associations, membership may be all they offer.
Yeah.
So I'm always talking with them about, okay, what are some other non-dues revenue that we can get going for your organization? But there are, certainly some that membership is all they do. But more commonly, it is an add-on.
Yeah. Do you find that there's certain specific challenges to membership models as opposed to other businesses? You would think that if someone is, maybe they have a preconceived notion in their mind that this is what I should be getting in a membership model. So what kind of challenges and hurdles are your clients experiencing?
Well, I think the first big hurdle is that your membership is very different from selling other types of products and services, mainly because most of the time you're dealing with a one-time buying decision. And with membership, your member is being faced with a buying decision every single time their renewal rolls around. And so that's very different. I mean, you have to maintain a momentum in, what the member is experiencing, because at the point that it, becomes clear to the member that they're not making progress, or they're not using the membership like they should, or it's no longer meeting their needs, that's the point at which, the member is potentially going to decide not to renew and to get their needs met elsewhere.
You mentioned like non-dues revenue. What kind of things are you normally seeing that someone would offer to their members in addition to their membership fee? And along with that question, it makes me wonder, at what point do the members feel like, good gracious, enough already, I'm paying this membership and now you're selling this and offering that, right?
Right. Well, I think the big one is events. Many times you'll have conferences or some type of seminars, things like that, there's a fee for. Members might get a member rate, but, they do pay separately for that. I also see a lot of memberships, especially those that are representing an industry or are aiming to be kind of recognized as the premier membership in their topic area. They're offering credentialing, actually giving people
like a certification
a certificate, credentials, and they can charge a fee for that as well.
Yeah, and I think that, to me, that feels a whole lot different than come to this, or buy this service or pay this extra. But like a credentialing feels like, ooh, that's a neat value add that might help my business in addition to the membership fee that I'm paying, because whatever that membership might be, a certification in whatever might be neat for that member to be able to promote to their target audience. So that's a nice, helpful add-on.
Well, and they also a lot of times get exposure by the membership itself because they've pursued that certification or that credential. So, there might be a special place on, the public website that lists people who have those credentials.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what do you see, and that's a really good it makes me think of another question, which is, what are some of the ways that some of the members that would join one of these groups can make sure they get the most out of it? And then when you're kind of given a high level view of that can be food for thought for the organization to go, okay, if the members can be doing X, Y, and Z to get the most out of the membership and get networking opportunities or connecting with people, we need to make sure that we can help facilitate that.
Right. Well, I think that, one of the big things that a member can do going into any type of membership is, to be very clear about what the benefits actually are.
Yeah.
And what the members' goals are, let's say for the next, 6 months or year. What do they actually want to get out of it? And then make sure they're actually leveraging the offerings of the membership to work toward those goals. I'm always amazed when you have members who, sign up and they don't come to meetings and they don't access, what's being offered. And that's something that, the membership creator or organization, really has to pay attention to. Like, where are you potentially losing people in that, onboarding experience or that early engagement experience? And how do you connect them in and make sure that they know what's available and they're actually utilizing those benefits?
Yeah, and I would think, too, it sounds cliche to say this, but, listen, ask, survey, get feedback, but always not overboard and not a 19-question survey. But I would suspect that if the organization would, once in a while, send an email out and say, hey, 2 quick questions, click here, can you help us out? And those 2 questions are, really pertinent. And then maybe the next time, so maybe you've got 10 questions you want to ultimately ask and you space it out over 5 months or whatever. But I think that that's really important, is when you hear the needs of that membership base, you then can better deliver to them.
Oh, absolutely. And, just picking up the phone and calling members, looking over your member list and, once a month, twice a month, choose some members that you can actually, reach out to and, get on the phone with them and ask about their experience and what's going on in, their business or life or whatever it is that your membership focuses on. Connect with them. I think sometimes we forget that we can make a personal connection with people outside of sending a email blast. And I think that's really important in membership when, it's all about community and connectedness and, having a group that is coming together around, around a cause, a topic. Those connections are super important.
Yeah, and I think to your point, you should have a good mix between digital, online, in person, and even use phone as an example. But don't just send out your e-newsletter to your members. Have a schedule where maybe you or someone on your staff is reaching out by phone once in a while, and I think that really helps out a whole lot because many times people just really need to be heard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one of the, this is an extreme example, but I have an executive director who tells me that he takes great pride in making sure that he steps foot in as many member businesses as he can every year. Actually, and he serves, the state of Illinois, so it's a more limited geography than someone who has a membership that serves, a global market.
Sure.
But that's important to him, making sure that he visits member locations. And I think that instills a lot of loyalty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge point, and I think that's often overlooked because we get busy and we feel like, I don't have time to go step inside of, and whether that's an in-person step inside or a phone call, as easy as a phone call is, sometimes we get busy and hide behind the computer and think I'll send them a tweet or an email.
Sure. And don't you think that is an important point? I mean, not just for membership, but just being in business in general. I mean, the more you can connect with your customer, the better you're going to understand their needs and the closer that connection is going to be with them.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on forever on that. I mean, from I recently interviewed Bob Berg, author of The Go-Giver, and that whole mindset of giving and serving and developing strategic alliances on the basis of giving and being there. And then, I guess I do this service and that service if you ever hear anybody. But it's that building of a relationship, and that doesn't come from a blast email or a Facebook ad campaign.
Right.
So let's wrap up with this, Joy. If someone is considering interesting concept, maybe this might be a good addition to what my business model currently is. What are some of the next steps? How can they reach out, connect with you, and what should they do next?
Well, I have a website at joyofmembership.com, and if they stop by the page joyofmembership.com/resources, I have lots of goodies there for them. They can just choose the kind of stage that they're at. If they're just thinking about membership or maybe they've already started one, they can just choose their stage and it will give them resources that are appropriate to what they might be facing.
Neat. Well, Joy, thanks so much for coming on today. It was wonderful getting to learn more about the joy of memberships.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.